Did you know the average Australian household could be spending up to $2,000 more per month by mid-2026 just to cover the basics? That's rent, groceries, fuel, and electricity. Nothing fancy. And no, this isn't fear-mongering. It's what experts are predicting based on current trends in energy, housing, and global supply chains. So what's really going on? Why are prices rising so fast? And more importantly, how bad is it going to get? In this video, we're uncovering the 10 real reasons why Australia's cost of living is expected to skyrocket in 2026. Some of these are obvious, but a few might completely catch you off guard. From hidden policy changes to climate impacts and global economic shifts, the future of your wallet might already be at risk. But here's the good news. There's still time to prepare. Let's break it down before it's too late.
Number 1. Global supply chain disruptions. Let's start with something you can't see, but feel every time you shop: the supply chain. Ever notice how one missing ingredient can cause a whole shelf at the supermarket to empty out? That's not just bad luck. It's a sign that global supply chains are stretched thin, and it's only getting worse. Thanks to a perfect storm of events, lingering effects from COVID-19, ongoing wars, political tensions, and shipping delays, the global movement of goods is slowing down. Just one container ship stuck in the wrong port can delay thousands of products, from car parts to baby formula. Now add rising fuel prices, extreme weather events, and labor shortages across ports and factories, and what do you get? Delays, shortages, higher costs. And guess who pays for it all? You, the consumer. In Australia, where we rely heavily on imported goods, especially from Asia and Europe, these disruptions are already raising prices on everyday items: electronics, furniture, even basic foods like rice and canned goods. And by 2026, economists warn that long-term instability in the supply chain could drive prices even higher, up to 25 to 40% more on some imported products. So what can you do? Start making smarter choices now. Buy local when possible. Support Australian-made brands. And when you can, buy in bulk or stock up on essentials that don't expire quickly, like toilet paper, long-life milk, and pantry staples. Because if the global system hiccups again, and it will, you don't want to be caught off guard while prices soar and shelves go empty. Number 2. Energy price surge. Imagine opening your power bill in 2026 and seeing it's almost double what it was last year, even though you didn't use any more electricity. Sounds extreme? Unfortunately, it's becoming a very real possibility. Australia is currently going through a major energy transition, moving away from coal and gas toward renewable sources like solar and wind. While this shift is essential for the environment, the journey is rocky and expensive in the short term. Several coal power plants are set to shut down permanently by 2025, but the replacement infrastructure isn't ready yet. Add to that the rising cost of natural gas, international demand pushing up prices, and limited grid upgrades, and suddenly energy becomes a luxury rather than a basic utility. And it's not just about electricity. Gas prices for heating and cooking are also expected to climb as Australia continues to export large quantities to overseas buyers, leaving locals to compete with global prices. The Australian Energy Regulator has already warned of price spikes, and by 2026, experts predict average households could be paying 30 to 50% more just to keep the lights on and stay warm. So what can you do now to soften the blow? Start by making your home more energy efficient. Seal windows, insulate walls, and switch to LED lighting. If you can, invest in solar panels or even a solar battery system. It might cost up front, but it can save you thousands down the track. Because by 2026, the homes that adapt now will be the ones spending less and surviving better.
Number 3. Interest rate rebounds. Thought interest rates were finally cooling down? Think again. After a few expected dips in 2025, many financial analysts are warning that interest rates could rise sharply again by 2026, and this time the impact on Aussie households could be even more brutal. Why? Because central banks, including the Reserve Bank of Australia, are still in a tight battle with inflation. If global prices keep climbing and wages can't keep up, the RBA may have no choice but to hike rates again to slow things down. For anyone with a home loan, this means higher monthly repayments, potentially hundreds, even thousands of dollars more per month. And if you're renting, those rate increases usually get passed down to you too. Landlords raise rents to cover their rising mortgage costs, creating a chain reaction. Let's break it down. A $600,000 mortgage with a 2% increase in interest could add around $700 extra per month. That's money that could have gone to groceries, savings, or your kids' school fees. And here's the real danger. Many Aussies who fixed their home loans during the low-rate era are set to roll off those fixed rates soon right into a market with much higher interest. That financial shock could catch thousands off guard. So, what can you do right now? Talk to your bank about locking in part of your rate or refinancing. Buffer in your budget. Start saving an extra $100 to $200 per month now so you're ready for higher repayments. And if you're renting, be proactive. Negotiate your lease early or consider areas with lower growth pressure. Because in 2026, those who prepared for higher rates won't be the ones drowning in debt. We'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest worry about 2026? Your comment could help someone else feel less alone. We put real time and heart into every video, so if this helped you, please subscribe. It's just one click, but it fuels everything we do.
Number 4. Rental crisis deepening. If you thought finding a rental in 2025 was hard, 2026 might be a nightmare. Across Australia, the rental market is already stretched to its limits. Vacancy rates are at record lows, and rental prices in cities like Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne have jumped by over 30% in just 2 years. But experts are warning, this is just the beginning. So what's causing the crunch? First, there's population growth. With more international students, migrants, and returning Aussies, demand for housing is rising fast. But the supply isn't keeping up. Construction delays, rising building costs, and developer hesitancy are slowing down new housing projects. Second, many investors are pulling out of the market due to rising interest rates and stricter regulations. And to make matters worse, short-term rentals like Airbnb are soaking up long-term housing, especially in popular suburbs. The result? More competition, higher rents, and fewer options. Families are being priced out of their neighborhoods. Students are cramming into overcrowded flats, and waiting lists are getting longer. By 2026, we could see average rents increase another 20 to 40%, especially in inner-city areas and coastal towns. So how can you prepare? Lock in longer lease terms now, if you can. Explore regional areas or outer suburbs where rents are still manageable. Consider shared housing or co-living options to split costs. And if you're in a position to buy, start planning early, because owning, while tough, might cost less than renting in a few years. The rental crisis isn't easing up. It's just getting started. And if you're not prepared, you might find yourself priced out of more than just your postcode.
Number 5. Climate change impact on food prices. What if your grocery bill tripled, but your fridge had half the food? That's not a scene from a dystopian movie. It's what many experts are warning could happen as climate change continues to wreak havoc on Australia's food supply. In recent years, we've seen it all: record-breaking droughts, devastating bushfires, unseasonal floods, and heat waves. These aren't just environmental issues. They're directly impacting the farms and food producers that stock our supermarkets. When crops are destroyed or livestock suffer, food becomes harder to grow and more expensive to deliver. The lettuce shortage in 2022 made headlines when prices hit $12 a head. But that could soon become the new normal, not the exception. And it's not just fresh produce. Climate extremes affect grain, dairy, meat, and even seafood supplies. In 2026, Australia could be facing severe food inflation, with staples like bread, milk, meat, and fruit climbing 20 to 50% in price, depending on the weather that year. So what can you do about it? Start by taking small but smart steps. Start by growing your own herbs, greens, and vegetables. Even a small balcony garden can help. Support local farmers markets, which often have more stable pricing than large chains. Stock up on non-perishable staples like rice, beans, oats, and canned goods during sales. Most importantly, become a conscious food shopper. Waste less, freeze leftovers, and plan meals better. Because the less dependent you are on an unpredictable supply chain, the more control you'll have over your budget and your plate. In 2026, climate won't just change the weather, it'll change what you eat and how much you pay for it.
Number 6. Weak Australian dollar. Here's something most people overlook. The strength of the Australian dollar directly affects your wallet, even if you've never traded a single foreign currency. When the Aussie dollar drops, everything we import becomes more expensive. And Australia imports a lot. From fuel and electronics to clothing, medicines, and even food ingredients, we rely heavily on international suppliers. And guess what? Analysts are warning that the AUD could weaken further by 2026, especially if global markets stay volatile and interest rates in places like the US remain high. That means your dollar will buy less overseas and prices here at home will continue to rise. Picture this. A laptop that used to cost $1,200 might hit $1,600. Petrol prices could surge as oil is priced in US dollars. Everyday products like shampoo, cereal, and cleaning supplies, even if made in Australia, could cost more due to imported materials. So what can you do about it? Whenever possible, buy Australian-made products. They're not only good for the economy, but they also shield you from currency swings. Be a smart shopper. Compare prices, look for deals, and avoid impulsive online buys from overseas retailers. Consider second-hand options for things like electronics, furniture, or clothing. You'd be surprised how much value you can get for half the price. And if you're planning a big purchase that relies on imports, like a car, tech gear, or household appliance, it might be smarter to buy sooner rather than later. Because when the Aussie dollar falls, everything else tends to rise, except your savings. Number 7. Wage growth not keeping up with inflation. You might be getting a raise next year, but here's the catch. It still might not be enough. In Australia, wages have been growing slowly over the past decade. And while there have been recent increases in minimum and award wages, they're not keeping pace with how fast living costs are rising. This is called real wage stagnation. On paper, you're earning more, but once you factor in inflation, higher prices for rent, groceries, fuel, and utilities, your money buys less than it used to. Think about it this way. A 3% pay rise sounds great until you realize your cost of living just jumped by 7%. Suddenly, you're working harder and longer, but falling behind. By 2026, if inflation continues outpacing wage growth, more Australians will feel the squeeze. People will have to make tougher choices, cutting essentials, delaying medical care, or dipping into savings just to stay afloat. So what can you do to protect your income? Upskill or reskill. Learn high-demand skills in areas like tech, healthcare, trades, or digital marketing. These industries often pay more and are more resistant to economic shocks. Negotiate your pay. Don't be afraid to ask for a raise, especially if you've taken on more responsibility or your role is in demand.
Explore side income opportunities. Freelancing, tutoring, consulting, or starting a small online business. Most importantly, track your spending and adjust your budget based on real prices, not assumptions. Because in a world where everything costs more, earning more isn't optional, it's essential.
Number 8. Government subsidy cuts and policy shifts. Many Australians don't realize just how much of their financial stability relies on government support until it disappears. By 2026, we could be entering a phase of significant policy changes and subsidy cuts as the federal and state governments tried to balance the budget after years of stimulus spending, pandemic support, and natural disaster recovery. This could mean cuts to rental assistance, reduced rebates on energy bills, tighter rules on childcare subsidies, or even higher HECS or HELP loan repayments. And with an aging population and rising healthcare costs, more money may be redirected toward pensions and hospitals, leaving working families and young people with less support. The impact? You'll be paying more out of pocket for services you once got help with. And for many, that could be the tipping point between staying afloat and falling into debt. Even tax rules could shift. Economists predict possible increases to GST or income taxes in certain brackets to manage national debt. If you're not watching closely, you could find yourself losing more of your paycheck without warning. So how can you prepare now? Stay informed. Follow government budget updates and policy announcements. Build an emergency fund. Even saving $20 to $50 a week can make a huge difference later. Reassess your tax planning and consult a financial advisor if needed. Use current subsidies while they last. Apply for rebates, energy schemes, or education discounts today. Because when the safety net shrinks, only those who've prepared won't feel the fall.
Number 9. Artificial inflation in key markets. Not all price hikes are caused by shortages or global crises. Some are the result of something far more frustrating: artificial inflation. This is when companies raise prices not because they have to, but because they can, and it's happening more often than you think. In recent years, Australia's two major supermarket chains, Coles and Woolworths, have been quietly increasing prices even when their wholesale costs were going down. A government inquiry in 2024 found evidence of price gouging, where corporations took advantage of inflation fears to pad their profits. It's not just supermarkets. Insurance companies, real estate developers, and even telecom providers are pushing prices higher, knowing that most consumers won't question it or simply don't have better options. By 2026, if these practices continue unchecked, we could see essentials like food, rent, insurance, and internet priced far beyond their actual value, driven by corporate strategy, not real need. So, what can you do to fight back? Shop around. Don't stay loyal to brands or companies out of habit. Compare prices regularly and switch if you find better deals. Support independent and local businesses, farmers markets, and cooperatives. Track your spending. If something jumps in price, question it. That awareness alone can shift your buying habits. Use unit pricing labels in stores to make smarter choices. And most importantly, speak up. Leave reviews, ask questions, and don't be afraid to call out pricing games. Because the more we accept inflated prices without question, the more we allow corporations to quietly profit at our expense.
Number 10. How to prepare before it's too late. If you've made it this far, one thing should be clear. 2026 won't be kind to those who aren't ready. From rising rents and energy bills to shrinking wages and sneaky price hikes, the cost of living crisis isn't just coming, it's already creeping in. And while many will be caught off guard, you don't have to be one of them. Here's how to prepare, starting today. Create a survival budget. Track your income and expenses, cut non-essentials, and get clear on where your money is really going. The more control you have, the less panic you'll feel when costs rise. Build an emergency fund. Aim to save at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. Even a small amount saved consistently makes a big difference in a crisis. Diversify your income. Relying on one job is risky. Start a side hustle, sell unused items, offer a scale online. Extra income is your safety net. Reduce debt. Pay down high-interest loans and avoid new unnecessary debt. Interest rates are likely to climb again, and debt will get heavier. Stock up wisely. Buy non-perishables when they're on sale and invest in long-lasting essentials like home tools, pantry goods, and energy-saving devices. Stay informed. The earlier you know about policy changes, market shifts, or cost increases, the faster you can adapt. Knowledge equals power. Because when 2026 arrives, those who planned ahead will survive and thrive, while others scramble to catch up. And here's the truth. It's not about fear. It's about being smart, early, and ready. By now, you've seen the full picture. Australia's cost of living is on a dangerous trajectory, and 2026 could be the year it all comes to a head. From energy spikes and rental chaos to wage stagnation and corporate greed, the pressure is building on all fronts. But this isn't just about doom and gloom. It's about awareness and preparation. Most people won't see it coming. They'll keep spending the same way, ignoring the warning signs, until one day they're deep in debt, behind on bills, and wondering where it all went wrong. But not you. You've taken the first step. You're informed. And that means you have time to adapt, plan, and stay ahead of the storm. Because while we can't control global markets or government policy, we can control how we prepare. And that's exactly what the next part is about. Stay with us, because now we're diving into the solutions, the simple, real-life strategies you can start today to protect yourself, your family, and your future. You don't need to be rich or a financial expert to weather the coming storm. You just need to be strategic. Here's how to future-proof your finances before 2026 hits. 1. Master your money. Create a zero-based budget. Every dollar has a job. Track expenses weekly. Know where leaks are happening and plug them fast. Use budgeting apps like Pocketbook, YNAB, or even a simple spreadsheet. 2. Build an emergency fund. Set a goal, 3 to 6 months' worth of expenses in a separate savings account. Can't save big amounts? Start with $10 to $20 a week. It adds up. Automate savings to remove temptation. 3. Boost your earning power. Learn in-demand skills through free platforms like LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, or TAFE short courses. Explore remote freelancing, online tutoring, or starting a micro-business. Turn hobbies, crafts, art, writing, fitness into side income. 4. Cut costs without cutting life. Swap branded goods for generics. Meal prep to save on food. Join community buy-sell groups or use apps like Too Good To Go for discounted food. 5. Prepare for shocks. Lock in fixed energy plans if available. Bulk buy essentials during sales. Stay up to date with policy changes. Follow government updates, newsletters, or trusted financial influencers. Final tip, start small, start now, because doing something is better than doing nothing. 2026 will be tough, but with the right mindset and strategy, you'll be tougher. Now it's your turn. Which of these 10 reasons hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments and let's talk solutions. And if you haven't seen our last video, go watch it now. It's packed with tips you wish you knew sooner. We pour hours into making these videos to keep you informed. So if you got value today, show some love. Hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.